It is kind of stressful when we have the habit of working on PC and we have our little affairs to deal with on the phone, like chatting business opportunities and all the lies on our phone, and at the same time working on PC, touching both of them at the same time. So hopefully, we need advanced technology. What we are in today, they have developed what we call Android emulators. So what is an Android emulator? How can I get it? And which is best for my PC? Do you have a low-end PC? Do you have a high-end PC? No problem. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you the best Android emulator you can have for your PC. No matter its base, no matter how it is, no matter its capacity, you will be detailed with the list of best Android emulators you can use on your PC. So we just start right after the intro. Okay, so we're back in the video, and now you're kind of wondering what an Android emulator is. If you're an advanced user in this kind of stuff, then you're not wondering what that is. So let me detail that for you. What is an emulator? An emulator in computing world, somehow computing world, is an emulator is a hardware or software that enables one computer system, which we usually call the host, like a PC, a host, to have like another computer system, which is called the guest in computing language. An emulator typically enables the host system to run software or use peripheral devices designed for the guest. What are peripheral devices? The ones like USB keys, CD drives, all the rest. So now, what is an Android emulator? An Android emulator simulates Android devices on your computer so that you can test your application on a variety of devices and Android API levels without needing to have each physical device, meaning you can run your Android device on your PC, meaning 2 in 1. That is the host and the guest at the same time, you run them together. So now, what usually permits this is, we call it an emulator. So when we're dealing with Android system, we want to host an Android system on our PC, we call it Android emulator. So now that is what I'm going to show you today. We have detailed the list of the top 10 best Android emulator for whether you have a low-end PC or a high-end PC. So we've done it in an order of hierarchy. The first is best for a low-end PC, and the 10th is best for a high-end PC. So this video is suitable whether you have a low-end PC or a high-end PC. So first off, not less on the list, we have LD Player. So what is LD Player? LD Player is a famous Android emulator known by few. If you are looking for an emulator that is specifically for playing Android games on low-end PC, LD Player will be one of the best choices for you. Though this emulator is not known by many, this emulator is well known as an Android emulator for gaming and other purposes. So one of the advantages I usually prefer with this LD Player is its speed and its stability. So in addition, this software is also equipped with multitasking features, meaning you can run several tasks at the same time in the Android emulator. So this feature allows you to open more than one window in the same game, meaning you can open several windows inside a game you might be playing. So I also like this emulator due to its safety for Windows, and it doesn't contain too many ads. So what we always hate now, especially when we're browsing on internet, are what they call ads. So this Android emulator has less and fewer ads, which makes the Android emulator run faster on low-end PC. Though we wouldn't have any problem on a high-end PC, but this is our first ranked for low-end PC. So now, it also doesn't contain any spyware, except for you download it from an unknown source or from an external link which is not hosted by the developer himself. So compared with many other emulators, LD Player offers not only comparable performance but also blazing speed for running Android games on PC. So now we know of LD Player, so let's go to its properties and requirements, which classify it as the best for a low-end PC. So you can run on Windows 7, 8.1, 10 as OS, as operating system, whether you might be using 32 or 64-bit operating system. And the CPU too, you can run on an Intel or AMD dual core processor, which is really good. So then the GPU, you have an OpenGL 2.0 and up, which it runs up, which is most familiar with the low-end PC we know right now. And now the RAM, it requires 2 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM for the best performance, but if you have a 2 GB RAM is just fine. And also we have the disk space. The disk space, it occupies 32% depending on the validity of your operating system, and its file size from the download URL is usually 3 MB, 4, 5 at times, depending on its version equally. Okay, so the second we have on the list is LibDroid. What's LibDroid? LibDroid not usually famous in what we know now. We hardly hear of LibDroid, talk less of any other emulator. When we try to call emulators, we usually hardly and hear LibDroid. So first there is LibDroid, which is one of the best lightest Android emulators, and arguably a newcomer who deserves to be welcomed by which are the PC users and the emulators user. The advantages of these emulators are being equipped with many tweaks and optimization so that it can run smoothly and with a fairly impressive gaming benchmark score. That's really impressive for this emulator. And also, not less interestingly to say, you can run 2 games side by side, so you can play the same game with different accounts in one view. So what you don't need to bother anymore choosing, just get LibDroid, that's to say. And now let's look at its specifications. Obviously, for its OS, it runs on 7 and up, Windows 7, that's to say, and up. And the CPU, same as that of the other as LD player, which is Intel or AMD dual core processor. OpenGL is 2.1 and up. You see the capacity it requires is going up a bit. Now its RAM requires 2 GB RAM at least for recommendation, and you have the disk space 2 GB that it requires when installation is done, and its file size is used that heavy 270 something MB, usually 271 or 72. And now we go to our third on the list. We have Amidu OS. So what is this Amidu OS? Amidu OS is not that common to equally. So the more we climb on the list, the more we discover emulators which are hardly known. So you see, Amidos is also one of the best Android emulators for Windows PC, obviously, which has relatively good performances, especially for low-end PC. Amidu OS is available in 2 varieties for Android systems, meaning it can work on 2 operating systems only. It works with 2, or let's say it carries 2 operating systems only. That is the Jelly Bean, which is Android version 4.0, and the Lollipop, or which is also known as Android 5.0. Okay, this emulator supports both 32-bit and 64-bit operating systems, so no bother of that. But note in mind that this emulator carries the Android system for Jelly Bean in bracket and 5 Lollipop in bracket. So one of its advantages is lightweightness, and Android emulator which is also user friendly, meaning its interface when navigating is really friendly, especially for those that don't really know how to do this. So what of its specification? It runs on Windows 7, obviously, at least, to Windows 8.1 and up, or even higher, Windows 10, and also run on 32-bit or 64-bit as said earlier. And its processor requires an Intel of x86 processor. So what of the GPU? GPU usually has gone up here, and it requires at least a GPU of 3.0 and up. And the RAM is usually at least 2 GB for my recommendations. It's 2 GB for recommendation, and 3 GB, 4 GB, 5, increasing anyone, but at least 2 GB to start with it. So you have the disk space, it also requires 2 GB, and the file size is 226 megabytes. That's its download size when you want to download from the internet on the server. The fourth now is our friend Andy. The fourth on the list is what we call the emulator Andy. It's also known as Android Net as a website. So Andy, the next lightweight Android emulator, which gives us the users more flexibility to explore even more Android features. Android features that we hardly have on our PC, that we hardly have on our Android devices, we have frequently explored them with Andy. So Andy is kind of revolutionary than the other systems we had. It's kind of revolutionary than the other systems we had, and Andy's advantages include supporting the full Android interface, meaning it supports the full Android interface. The Android interface supports it all. So you can also make your smartphone your controller by connecting it via a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connection, meaning you can control the Android system via your smartphone remotely. So when it was first released, Andy had some problems. Obviously, every first release usually have problems, especially in the computer world, and now so it's worth for you to try it. But now let's go to specifications. You have the OS, Windows 7 or 8.1 or even up, or at times running on Ubuntu. It's also available on Ubuntu 14.04 or on Mac OS 10.8 plus. So part of its CPU runs on the CPU Intel and AMD dual core processor, and the GPU it's OpenGL 2.1 and up. The RAM, this is where interest us, the 1 GB RAM required at least, my recommendation. And you can have higher than that, but a recommended least level for this is 1 GB, and the disk space is 3 GB. Obviously at times it depends on your system volumetrity. So, and the file size is relatively heavy, which is 871 megabyte. Okay, so we're done with Andy, and we're going to the fifth on our list, which is mostly the most known Android emulator by many, which is BlueStacks. Previously known as BlueStacks 4, they recently upgraded to BlueStacks 5 with more amazing feature, but I'm going to recommend you BlueStacks 4 in here. If you are on a low-end PC, I recommend you BlueStacks 4 instead of BlueStacks 5. Why BlueStacks 4? BlueStacks 4 doesn't, in fact, it is a lighter version, an adaptable version for low-end PC as compared to BlueStacks 5. BlueStacks 5 usually now, as the gaming world has gone and evolved, obviously the developer wants to range in the higher rank than the other Android emulators, since they are in little competition. So I would recommend you BlueStacks 4 for a low-end PC. You could say BlueStacks is the lightest and most popular Android emulator, obviously, which is true, because this emulator has around a long time, it has existed since for some years, for a good number of years now, and many of us we usually use BlueStacks. Latest there is also BlueStacks 5, which you can download it for free from the official website, and which is available for several options such as the online installer and the offline installer. We have the online installer and the offline installer, free for you to download. So to be able to install BlueStacks 4, what you do is you click on the link given in the description, and once you open it, you come here where you see BlueStacks 4, you click on that and you're gonna download BlueStacks 4. So now, what are the specifications for BlueStacks 4? You have at least Windows 7 and up for the OS, obviously, and the CPU running on Intel and AMD dual core, GPU running from 3.0 and up, and the RAM, 2 GB RAM required at least. The higher the RAM, the better experience you're gonna have with BlueStacks. BlueStacks is all about memory, graphics memory, and the VRAM. You have also disk space, which is 5 GB, and the file size 452 megabyte, which is really heavy. And now we have the seat on our list is Droid 4X. Droid 4X is kind of also a good Android emulator. So why do we classify Droid 4X at the seat position? The next, why do we classify Droid 4X at the seat position? This is because Droid 4X presents many advantages that make it interesting and are supported, and of support we have some add-ons allowing us to control the game on the computer without a smartphone. So that's really great. And then let's say for example you can want to play, let's say, Alpha 9 Legends, and make your smartphone a controller using the accelerometer, which is really great. That's really a great add-on feature. So we are also allowed to customize the keyboard as a controller, which will certainly make it easier to play the games on Android, games on our PC. So this emulator has gone further with some features that made it to be classified on the seat position. And now what are the specifications? We have Windows 7, 8, 8.1, 10, and 32. Yes, 10, pardon. Ranging with 32-bit or 64-bit. Anyone you use is just going to work fine. And the CPU, you have Intel or AMD dual core processor. The GPU, you have OpenGL of 2.0 and up, and the RAM, you have 1 GB at least recommended, though I'm going to recommend 2 GB, but we're talking of low-end PC here, and I'll recommend you 1 GB or 4 GB maximum, or little at least. Okay, now, and the disk space is 4 GB somehow, and the file size is 8 MB, 8 megabyte. And let's navigate to our 7th Android emulator on the list. So we have the Genymotion. Genymotion is not usually used by those that want to run simple tasks on their PC. So this is mostly for developers, and it helps them to debug the application before launching them most frequently. So it is a lightweight Android emulator suitable for most application developers. As I said, the reason is you can test Android applications or games on various device type this emulator gives, actually, without being required to own the device. So you can also configure the emulator to run with various versions of Android according to your needs. That's very interesting for debuggers. So this is the best Android emulator I'm going to recommend to Android developers and debuggers. So for example, you can run Nexus 1. Let's say for example you can run Nexus 1 with Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, or Nexus 6 with Android 6.0 Marshmallow, pardon, which is really great. So this is the best Android emulator I'm going to recommend for Android developers. And now the Android emulator is mostly used by developers, as I'm saying and insisting on the fact. What are the specifications for this application? Okay, so we have the OS, which is at least at Windows 7. We have Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and 10 working on all, whether you're on 32 or 64-bit. And the CPU, we have Intel AMD dual core, and the GPU, it runs on 2.0 and up. That's a GPU of at least 2.0 or greater. And the RAM, 2 GB. RAM here 2 GB. Since if you are a developer, this 2 GB is not going to be that adequate for you. So what I recommend you here is you have a RAM of at least 4 GB to be able to really debug your apps without any ambiguity. And now we have the 8th on our list and the 3rd best Android emulator for high-end PC. We have the Memu player. Memu offers complete compatibility with both Intel and AMD chips. Their latest release is Android 5.1.1 Lollipop, meaning its latest Android version is Android 5.1.1. Memory also already has root access and is a complete sidebar display, and has a padding and has a computer with many additional functions and features. Memory has also become the best alternative for Android emulator, both for productivity needs and playing games, which is primarily and mostly known by gamers. And now you have, if you have a trouble, Memory Player has a forum that can help you solve the problem. Check for new releases and other news for official blog. That's a base feature an organization can have. A well-organized customer support, which is available with Memory Player. So if you've experienced any problem in front with your stuff, you can always use Memory Player. And now, what are the specifications? We have an OS running on OS Windows 7, 8, 8.1 or 10 even, and the CPU is Intel or AMD dual core. The GPU OpenGL 2.0 and up, RAM 2GB, disk space 2GB equally, and the file size 117 MB. And now the ninth and the second best on our list, we have Nox Player. Nox Player is recommended for gamers. As for me, I recommend this for gamers as a second alternative because we have the best for gamers, which is to be shown in this video. So Nox Player is a lightweight Android emulator, obviously emulator that you could try out. You won't be disappointed with Nox Player, especially if you're a gamer. And there are utilities and in addition that can specifically help gamers control the game using the keyboard and mouse. We don't want those boring emulators that we want to control with the mouse or the keyboard. We're gonna have to rotate, do stuff which aren't that good for we gamers. And now, one of the advantages I appreciate with Nox is that its features are numerous. For example, to have the right Nox Player, there's a chat bar that is useful for accessing several features which are not found on most other emulators. So you have a chat bar in the Nox Player software or emulator when running your Android on your PC. When running the emulator, let me say for short, there is a chat bar which can help you access several features which you wouldn't even find with BlueStacks itself. So Nox Player has all those advantages, all those features. When you click on the chat bar, you're gonna see a numerous list of features displayed for you to use. And now Nox Player is the second I classify for the high-end Android emulator. And now you have its specifications. What are its specifications? OS, you have Windows 7, 8, 8.1 and 10. CPU Intel AMD dual core. Okay, and then the GPU, you have an OpenGL up, which you can use at least OpenGL of 2.0. Pardon. And then the RAM, you have you can use the RAM recommendation is 1.5 GB, though 2 GB is going to be optimal for a lower base. So now you have you can also use 4 GB, which is also good, a good recommendation. And the display is 1.5 GB, file size 310. Obviously, man, at times can range to even 315 depending from the source of download. And the 10 on our list, which is the best for gamers, high-end emulators, high-end gamers and people that have the habit of playing on playing heavy task games that require a heavy PC, a PC that has a good quality. We call this Tencent Gaming Buddy, which is now its name now. But before, we usually know it as most gamers out there, they know it as Game Loop, and this is the most used Android emulator for playing games. So this is the best for Android for gamers. It's the best Android emulator for gamers because its features are mostly specified and focused on gaming. So it isn't it is not that required to run, in fact, to run your Android apps or social media, like social media communication and all the like. This one is most defined and directed for gamers. It is like it goes straight to the point for everyone who wants to game. And then, often known as TGB, which is Gaming Game, is a Tencent gaming body, and known as a game loop, which was its name before, which is a very popular among PUBG mobile gamers because of the direct support from the developer. That's another amazing feature. This Android emulator has a direct support from the developer, which helps you easily overcome some little issues you might face while using the emulator. Like I said earlier, a support system or the customer support is the best feature an organization or a business party can have to easily grow and gain confidence. So this is what Game Loop has. Game Loop is usually the best for Android emulators, like for the PUBG game players and Among Us and all the like. So not only for PUBG Mobile, Tencent Gaming Buddy or Game Loop also support other games such as Arena of Valor, Hankai Impact on Fire or Free Fire, Arena of Valor, Call of Duty Mobile, and all the like. All the best games we usually know right now, action adventure, the ones we most play on Android and which are top rated by Google Play and the editor's choice equally. So what are its specifications? You have OS Windows 7, 8, 8.1 and 10. The CPU Intel AMD dual core, obviously, and the GPU pardon is it requires an OpenGPU of 3.0 and up at least. And RAM, it requires 3 GB RAM, and a recommendation, since this is the best for the high-end PC, I suggest your PC might be that really good, and I'm going to recommend you at least 8 GB RAM to have to play this game to run this emulator without any problem. And its disk space occupies 6 GB. So we have an offline package, usually an online installer, so it is 9 MB, and it has to download an additional set of file, in fact, it has to download additional files for the installation to be successful. So you usually install this with an internet connection. So guys, those are the top 10 Android emulators for low-end PC. So from the first SD player to the last Game Loop, SD player is the best for low-end PC, meanwhile Game Loop is the best for high-end PC. So from 1 to 10 is for low-end PC, and from 10 to 1 is for high-end PC. So you check that out. Make sure you check this Android emulator. Also, you can read a full post on this, detailing, explaining equally with reliable screenshot from the link I'm going to give you in the description. So in conclusion, I can say we have seen what an Android emulator is, what is a low-end PC, and also we have covered how the best Android emulators to use with a low-end PC in the present generation, require a high-end PC equally. And you can just choose the emulator that suits you the most, and that the specification matches just those of your PC. Make sure it matches those specification your PC has. So make sure you check out your PC specification before opting for a download of any of these emulators. For those of you searching for the best Android emulator for low-end PC, best Android emulator for low-end PC, 1 GB, best Android emulator for low-end PC, 2 GB, all of that has been shown in here. So we've just done a little mix up of all these emulators. So I want to thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe to this channel, for we're going to be uploading more amazing content. We see you in our next video.